What's up, guys? What's up? Okay. Now, I had a video idea proposed to me just now by my good old buddy Matt. And he wanted me to kind of go over the benefits of using a guitar equipped with a floating tremolo. Now, usually, there's a lot more negatives going along with a floating trem. Now, let's do that first. One big negative for a floating trem guitar is that you cannot change your tuning at will. If you have 1046 like this, set for a half a step down, that's what it has to be. String gauge has to be 1046. String brand has to be what you have on it. Tuning has to be that. If you don't keep it like that, the angle of this bridge is going to lift way up like that, or it's going to pull down into the body, and you'll have to make all sorts of adjustments. Another negative to them is a lot more is entailed in your setup. It takes a lot longer to set up a guitar with a floating trem than it does a fixed bridge. The intonation's a little more tricky. Getting the bridge angle right is a little bit harder to do because there's so much going back and forth with your adjustments. Now, what kind of benefits do we have? Usually floating trem guitars, they usually have a thinner neck. Like Ibanez's have a thinner neck than most guitars out there. This JS here that I'm playing has a Strat style neck. So this neck feels like a Strat, but the action being so low, it is more playable than any Strat I've ever touched. And then, tuning stability. You have a lock on your nut. You have locks in your bridge. Double locking trim system. Once you get your strings stretched out, you can't knock it out of tune. I mean, you can pull up on the bar. You're still in tune. This one's not, because it's got new strings. But it's still gonna hold tune. The sustain you get with a floating trem equipped guitar is different than a tune-o-matic or a fixed bridge guitar. Action. You can get your action lower on a floating trem guitar than you can on a fixed bridge. That's been my experience. I mean, you get your neck straight enough, you can squat these strings down, man. It's just ultra playable. And the one that most people say, once you get them tuned up and you get them set up and they're good, when you go to practice, you gotta wait for your buddies to tune up. You're ready to go. Your guitar is good. And you know, people say, why you want a Floyd? Why would you want anything with that? Well, for me, I have to have it. It's almost like I have fixed bridge guitars. I got 2 of them. It's like I can't play them as good as this, you know? It's like, you know, it's like the action on this, as low as it is, and my 550, and my other floating trim guitars. I can play for hours on them. I don't get uncomfortable. If I'm playing a Les Paul, if I'm playing a Schecter or something that has a tunematic or a fixed bridge, over a little while getting down here and I get uncomfortable with it. And this is just me, you know, it's just my opinions here. If you guys like your fixed bridges, that's awesome. Keep doing it, keep playing them. But I don't know, it just feels like to me that this is the best way to go. Tuning stability, great sustain. When you get it set up and you get it locked in, you're there. And you really don't have to do much to them. And people say they're a nightmare. They're a nightmare to work with. They can be, yeah, if you don't know what you're doing. And it's your first one, and you know you've never restrung one, you've never set one up. It can be challenging. It's a great learning experience. And like most guys, you know, I want to get something to play drop C. I want to get something to play drop B. Super low tuning heavy metal. You can get a Floyd and you can set it up to work for that tuning. And you know, the locking nut, the string locks in the bridge, it will keep you in rock solid tuning. I mean, this guitar's been in the case for, I don't know, 2 months. Pulled it out just now. I don't have to tune it. It's ready to go. Everything about a floating trim guitar is just better to me. Now you might get one, hate it, want to trade it off, get rid of it. I can't freaking stand it. You know. Go ahead, play what you play. But if you were looking into buying your first one, and you think, oh man, I may not like it, you've got to try it. You got to try one of these. I mean, the JS series here, I love this guitar. It's a great guitar. Now see, on a Strat, you just do that simple bar work there, you know. You're gonna be out of tune unless you oil the nut. Shut up, Strat. Locking it here at the nut, and the string locks in the bridge ensures that when you manipulate this bar, the string cannot stretch this way or this way. Keeps it in tune. The bridge has a natural 0 point that it rests at. Once you find that and you get it locked in with the adjustments of the springs in the back, it's always, when you hit the bar, it's always going to go back to that. Even if it's always going to return. My ear itches. Sorry. Now, restringing them, a little more of a pain. It is. But do it one string at a time. Keep your same tuning, your same brand, your same string gauge. And you'll be good. And you say, well, you know, you might ask yourself, why keep it at just one? You know, what am I gonna do when I want to go buy another guitar that has a floating trim for a different tuning? That's just another excuse to go buy a new guitar. Go buy you another one, set it up for that tuning that you're gonna put it in. Now, I have this set at 10s, 1046, for a half a step down. If I were to take these strings off right now on camera and put Diodero 9 to 42, I could tune this to standard tuning and nothing about this setup would change. If I put 11s on this and go to standard tuning, everything about this setup is going to change. Like, intonation will change, bridge angle will be all messed up, my neck relief would probably change, action would be all jacked up, which it is on here anyway. I mean, it's not super low. I don't know, it just seems that with a floating trim, everything is more clear. Everything is more crisp. The notes speak. And ever how you manipulate these strings with the vibrato, it's just more expressive. Now that could just be me, of course, you know. I've played on these things for years. And it's just like anything. The more you play on them and the more you develop that feel for them, the more it's like you don't want anything else. Just like buying an Ibanez. When you play one, you don't want anything else in your hands. See, I can never do that with Strat. It would be all out of tune. I don't know. I mean, you guys can decide for yourselves what kind of guitar you want. But I say, you really can't go wrong with a floating trim. I mean, you can do any kind of bar work you want. It's going to be fine. Everything will be okay. The only time it's not going to be okay when you use your bar on a Floyd is if your setup is off. Your bridge is not properly angled. You know? That's about the only time, because it will, when you dip it down, when you come back to let the bar up completely, I'm putting my hand way up here to accentuate I'm not touching it. It's in tune. But now, if you have it too tight, the springs are too tight, it's going to be rocked back a little bit like that, pulled up, and when you dive it down, it's going to come back to that, because that's where the springs stop and the string tension stop. The whole point of getting this bridge angle correct is so that your spring tension and your string tension are equally balanced to keep it at its natural zero. So right now, any chord I hit, I could hit just an E. Go all the way down, shake it. You're good. Grab it and pull it. Everything's fine. It's good. You do that on a Strat, you're going to be tuning it again for hours, trying to get it to work. If you've never tuned one of these, my nose itches. It may take a little time. That's the point of changing your strings one at a time. To keep as much tension on this bridge as you possibly can to keep it looking just like this looks here. That way, when you go back and you have all restrung, it's all tuned, this string will be low. It'll be down like about like that. You have to tune it up. That's going to pull the bridge upwards and make all the other strings drop. But then when you tune it up and you get all the strings in tune, eventually this bridge will stop moving. And it will be right where it is. And it will be in tune. There's a lot of advantages to it. On stage, as long as it's good and you don't break a string, you're going to be fine all night. That's why you got to have a backup. And if you break a string on one of these, that's a negative. Say I break, I'm playing along, you know. I do a bend like that, but I decide to go try to hit this note. It's going to snap this G string. When this string snaps, loses tension, all the other strings are going to gain tension because the bridge has shifted downward slightly. And then, you know, usually you can replace the string that you broke, tune it to G, or whatever pitch it is, and it will put these other strings right back in tune. But if you break your high E, it'll always work, it seems. It'll always work that when you put your new string on, you tune it back up, it's going to pull all these other strings back in tune because they won't drop that much because it is the smallest string thickness. So it's only going to drop in tuning a fraction versus breaking a G string or breaking one of your wound strings. If you break a wound string, change the whole set. Because putting just the low E back on and tuning that thing up rapidly is going to cause all of these to drop in tuning. So yeah, there's a lot of advantages to them and a lot of things that these guitars can do you can't get on another guitar. Like the harmonic balance. You can't get that on a Strat without tuning. You know, you'll have to tune it after that. People say locking tuners. They do great. I have two guitars that have locking tuners. They really do well for the kind of guitar they're on. On this, with this lock up here and the locks in the bridge, locking tuners are really not necessary. Because it is locked here and there. Now, say you forget to lock these after you restring it and you're just excited to play and you just that little bit of a bend is going to make the guitar go out of tune because it's not locked here. When you put your strings in the bridge and you tighten them up here at the locks, that locks this string in place. It cannot move. So you've got to make sure you lock these. Now, if you do have these locked, and say you're, and then all of a sudden you're like, huh, Something seems off. I think I'm out of tune. Don't grab here and turn it, because you're going to break the string. Usually it'll break right here and fly this way, or it's going to break right about here and fly this way. Tune it with these. Now let me demonstrate this. Let's see what I can do here. Turn it left. We're out of tune. Now we're going to tune it back up by turning this little knob that's sticking way up the other way. Now we're back in tune. Did that affect everything else? No. Some say you can go to drop D like this. Just tune this down, you'll be on drop D. Let's see. Okay, we're in drop D. We're in tune. Are we in tune completely? No, it's caused these to get slightly sharp. See? So let's go back to standard. Back in tune. So it is a very good idea, if you're gonna have a floating trim guitar, get more than one so that you can have them all set up for your different tunings. Now some people, they get a floating trim, they love how it plays because the action's so low. But they don't like this. They don't like the whammy stuff, you know, they don't want to do that. So what they'll do is they'll get something they can wedge in the back. Here. Hold on. I'll turn the guitar down so I can speak. They'll put something in the back here between the body and the sustain block and block the trim to where it does not go this way, it does not go down, and you can't pull up. To me, that is completely defeating the purpose of buying a guitar with a floating trim. If you don't want it to do that, just go buy a fixed bridge or a tune-o-matic bridge. If you buy one of these guitars, most people would tell you, and I'm not trying to sound like an asshole, but most people would tell you, this is what they are designed to do, this is what they do the best. And it is. It's what they're designed to do. Now, yeah, you can crank the springs in all the way to the body in the back here. That's going to cause this bridge to sit all the way down the body. And now, yeah, that might, you know, okay, it won't whammy. It won't do nothing. When you pull this bridge down into the body, it's pulling your strings closer to the fretboard. So you're going to get some wicked buzz or dead notes whenever you start to play, if you have it set up that way. Especially if you usually light gauge strings. So I would say to anybody, you know, if you're going to get one of these guitars that has a floating trim, make sure you get one that you want it to float. Because that's really what they're designed to do. I mean, this stuff was invented when hair metal was a thing. You know, like a... Let's see. I'm trying to remember how it goes. Yeah. And then... And it's invented for all of that. I know Eddie Van Halen, you know, but even he did it because you're just always in tune, and it made everything easier to play. And you could get the action down on these so super low, that you would not be able to hear the fret buzz. You hear that? And if I turn it down, you're gonna hear it. So, what do I do there? Shit, my guitar's buzzing. How am I gonna fix it? This is where people get frustrated. They wanna, I wanna fix my guitar, but I don't know how to fix my guitar. Get your trusty Ibanez tool out. We're gonna go inside this post. If I can get it in the hole. Now, I don't like that. That's really not... I don't like that. That's really not what I want to happen. So, I'm going to have to erase my action a little bit on this high side. On the treble side. Oh, come on, tool. This thing's still new. I rarely use it. We're going to have to bring it up. Just insert your tool into your post. Turn her that way. Just a half a turn. That's going to bring it up. Now, it brought it up quite a bit. Gone. Done. Gonna leave it. And then we're going to take this small one in the center of the tool. Just like that. And we're going to go back into this and start tightening it down until she stops. Right there. Snug. Good. Alright. Let's turn it back up and see if we're in tune. Because I shifted the height of this bottom side of the bridge. Awesome. And it still plays great. That's not a big difference at all. Now, how do you do this when you want to tune it? Say one string loses tuning. And oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to check? What am I going to look for? Here's what you look for. The first thing you check is the lock. Back here at the bridge, you'll stick your wrench in here. Make sure you're good and tight. Not too tight. Not crank down crazy tight. If you're good there, and there's no slippage here, and you're not able to pull this string out of the bridge, I'm going to go up here, stick the wrench in like that, and make sure it's in. Don't get this, kind of lopsidedly in there. Get it in there good, and just, now, it's unlocked. I can tune this string. Now we're in tune. We're good, right? What do you do? What do you do next? I'll lock this back down. Make sure you lock this back down. We're going to go about like that. That's fine. It locked. Now, this retainer bar, that's another advantage to a floating trim guitar. Some of them have them, some of them do not. The JS series and most Ibanez's do have them. This bar pushes your strings down so that they go straight into this nut on both sides. And when you lock this pad down, this pad is pushing against the string on the nut to keep it from slipping anywhere between here and here. And this bar will help your string not to go sharp. I locked it down. It didn't raise and pitch. It's good. There's just so many things that these guitars are designed for, and the design itself is great. I mean, you can't knock it out of tune once you get it in tune. And when you're going to go to record, I would say imperatively record with a floating trem. Because you're set up, you're good, you're tuning, rock solid, it's not going to go out until you kill your strings and start to sound dead. Now, once that happens, yes, you're going to have to change your strings and everything will be okay. It will sound like your intonation's out. It will sound like you're out of tune, even though you're not, just because they lose their tonal quality over time. Like everything that I do on here, it just feels more, it flows more to me. Still says I'm high on that string. Just a little bit, not much. I might have to move it just a little more forward. We're going to do this on video. You guys ready for this? Alright. Intonation adjustment. How are we going to do this? Now, I might get this wrong. Let's just make that clear. What string are we going to work on? We're going to work on the G. So we're going to pull this off. Not pull it off, but just unlock it. Just unlock it to where you can move it. Now, you do not move this completely under tension. You're going to want to loosen this string down to where there's almost no tension whatsoever. Let's get the strap off, because we can't have the strap on. Now, I can't do this and show you guys in the camera exactly how I'm doing it. So let's put this amp in standby. Now, I will show you, though, what I will be working with. The little screw right up underneath the string. Right there. I got to take this screw loose and move this saddle. So how are we going to do that? I'm going to come over. I hope I can get this where you guys might be able to see what I'm doing. But this is how I do it. I know I don't have a proper workbench. I know this. But this is what I got to work with. Now, it says I'm a little sharp. So the saddle needs to move backwards a little bit. Not much. Not much. It seems. Not much. Let's get this in here. Make sure we keep it on. Not enough yet. Try that. I mean, I moved it just a tad bit, dude. Just a tad bit, and we'll go back. Now this time, we got to get the tuner out and be sure we get this thing dead on the G or the F sharp, since I'm a half a step down. And I will prove to you guys that nothing about this will change. Once I get this back in tune, it's going to be in tune. The other strings are sharp right now, bad sharp. But when I tune this, it's going to pull it back. If I can get my stupid ass tuner to stop showing me a B note. I have a complaint with this tuner, man. All it does is throw up a freaking B. I'm not even in B. Can I turn it off and turn it back on? We're at E flat, E, F, F sharp. That's F sharp, we stop there. Now that we've done that, we're going to lock her back down. Now my intonation did go out because I put Ernie balls on this guitar at one time. It don't like Ernie balls. Let's get back over in front of the amp now. And we'll check everything out, see how we're sounding. Now, theoretically, since this bridge shifted with that much tension loss, I should be out of tune. Let's have a listen. A little bit. Now, usually, yeah, you wouldn't check it down here because it's almost impossible to get perfect intonation unless you got brand new strings. Check it at the 12th fret in playing position. Theoretically, it doesn't really matter how you check this. You can check it with the guitar laying down. You can check it like this. It's just because you flip this guitar down doesn't really mean, as long as you're on a workbench, it's not going to cause any weird movements with this bridge. Like some people believe, although yes, it can, like on my bed here. If I were to check this guitar's intonation with it laying down, and this bed moves, it makes this sound here, this bridge is moving. So it's going to make it go all wonky. So check it here. Play a harmonic at the 12th, and then fret a 12th. Make sure they match. Good to go. So yeah, the intonation is a little tricky, you know. A lot of the setup stuff is a little bit tricky on a floating string guitar. But once you have your setup done, they are there. They're in. Now over time, yes, these screws underneath the bridge saddle screws, they will loosen up on you and your saddle will move while you're playing. And that kind of sucks. That's another negative. But easily fixed as long as you keep them tight. And that's the first time, other than when I put Ernie balls on it, that I had to adjust the intonation. As long as it's good at the 17th, I'm fine. So, advantages, great tuning stability, awesome playability that you can set yourself to make it feel the way you want it to, and almost no other guitar will feel the way this does. Disadvantages, you can't change tuning, setup's a lot more complicated, the time it takes to restring is a little bit longer, and it can, you know, if you're in a hurry to play, and you want to get something done real quick, restringing your Floyd guitar, you know, it might cut into that. So if you got a show, and you have a tech, get him to restring it after sound check. If your strings aren't feeling good to you, get it restrung after sound check, then you'll be good to go that night. Pull the string off the neck. And tuning stability, amazing. That's a crazy bend I just did. See that? Uh-oh. Now that went out of tune a little bit. Just back it off. Just back it off. Good. Sometimes, yeah, you know, when you bend it really, really hard, it can cause it to go out of tune. That's another thing about playing these. If you're heavy-handed with your picking and your strumming, Floyd might not be the best idea for you. Because I'll lay my hand on here to do a palm mute. It's good, right? But if you're heavy-handed, hear that? Too much pressure causes your bridge to go backwards. And you don't want that because, you might love how it plays. And then when you get home, where you can actually be in a room where there's no other sound going on, it's just you, your guitar, and your amp. And you don't subconsciously realize that you're doing this. You're like, the guitar's not in tune. It's very light. You don't have to push. Unless you want to, you can have that, but not really necessary. And that's a lot of the reason too that people block the trim and they don't want it to float. I don't know, a lot of guys that play these might not feel the same way as me, but I believe if you have a floating trim that it should be set up to float. I don't believe you should block it. That defeats the purpose of having it. That's just my opinion, and people can hate me in the comments all they want. I don't really care. But everything about this guitar just makes things easier. For me, I can't play a Les Paul as effortlessly, as fast, and as good as I can something like this. Everything on the guitar, for me, is easier with this. Oops. Go to the neck. And also, you can get some crazy effects on a trim that you can't get on, say, a Strat style bar. The classic Steve Vai trick. Let's do this and do that. You can get all sorts of alien sounds on it that you can't get with anything else, like a Strat. You can't get it to do that unless you're really good with the setup. Let's see something. Now this is not the right tuning, but we're going to try this. Some guitars require you to have a floating trim to play. Some songs, If you're going to play Satch, you're going to play Steve Vai, you're going to need a guitar with a floating trim. Preferably a good one. Now, some people that might buy their first ones, and don't hate me for what I'm about to say, if you get like a standard RG series that has the whatever their standard locking trim is, it's not going to hold tune as good as this guitar with the original Ibanez Edge. You go a step up, you get the Edge 02. It is a lot better. It's a lot better quality, and it will hold tune for you. But after a few years of it's gonna start to wear the knife edges down, and you won't have tuning stability no more. And then you get your Japan stuff that has original edge like this one. It will still wear down, and you'll still have to do the usual preventative maintenance that Some people do like filing the knife edges or replacing the knife edge completely in the trim. It's going to take a lot longer for that to happen. But that's not to say that if you can't afford, all you can afford is the standard RG or something with an Edge 02, by all means, go buy that guitar. It's a great thing to learn how one of these works on. You know, you don't have to go out and spend $1,800 for something like this. And even this thing was a giant piece of shit when I first got it. After spending the extra money to have the fretboard leveled, it has turned into a great instrument. And as you saw me do, you know, the intonation adjustments are a little bit of a pain in the ass. They really are. But once you get some practice at it, it's not too bad. But for me, a Floyd is, I have to have one. Like, I can't have a guitar that doesn't have one of these in my collection. I cannot have a non-equipped, or not that, hold on. I can't have at least one. I gotta have at least two. I got this one, I got my 550. Now I have my Charvel that has the Godot 510 Strat style bridge with locking tuners, and that holds tune just as good as this. I mean, that bridge is the most stable thing I've ever played that's a Strat style bridge. If you bought an American standard Strat and you could find a way to route it to fit that Godot 510, I can guarantee you it'd be better than what Fender put on that USA Strat. Just like these bridges. I mean, what the Indonesian guys put on the Ibanez guitars is great. It is. But the original Edge from Japan is better. And if you could get an Indonesian guitar, or a made in China guitar even, route that cavity out to slap you one of these in, the original Edge or the Low Pro Edge, that's a hell of an upgrade. And guaranteed that it will last and be awesome. Got a little more fret buzz. Let's fix that. I don't like it. I can hear it. I don't like it. I'm being nitpicky tonight. I don't like it. Piece of shit. Open up. Come on. There we go. Now we gotta unlock this side. So let's get our little wrench in there. Come on down in there now. Bro, that thing even clicked in. There it goes. Unlock. Good to go. Pull it out. Gonna raise this one up just a tad. Because I got a little bit of fret buzz that I can feel on my neck, and I don't like that. I can feel it reverberating through the guitar. I don't like that. We're gonna go just about a quarter turn. Bring it up. Close her back down there. Now this may have affected the tuning a little bit because I'm moving this. Now really, you're supposed to detune these before you do that, but I'm just making minor adjustments. It shouldn't really hurt anything. Now I say that, and then the guitar's gonna freaking fly apart on camera. And I will legitimately cry if my guitar falls apart on camera in front of all you guys. Why do I got two picks? What the hell? Okay. There we go. That eliminated that. No worries. And I still got great action. I know, floating trims really don't fit everybody's needs. And that's perfectly fine. If this kind of guitar does not fit your needs, and even after seeing this video you think, oh, this is just too much of a damn hassle to own, then don't get one. But if you do get one, and you learn this system that is so complex, it can be very complex to a beginner. Once you learn this system, you're not going to own anything else. They are amazing. I've kept this guitar in the case for 6 months before. And I pulled it out. The strings were rusted as all to hell, but it was still in tune. That is what counts. When you pick up your guitar, and it is in tune as soon as you strum the strings, that's better than anything in the world. I can guarantee you Gibson won't do that. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it wasn't a bunch of useless, freaking random ass nonsense that was all over the place. But go out and get you one of these. It's got a floating trim. I think you'll love it. Because, when I first got my first one, dude, I was so intimidated by it. Like, I've never had nothing like this, and I broke a string. All the rest of them, sharp, all the hill, and I was like, oh, okay, what do I do now? And I thought, the guitar's ruined. I even left it like that for a week, because I was like, I don't know how to fix it. I don't know what to do. And then I had a 9-gauge high E string laying around that was a spare. Okay, I'll put that on it. It was a Darko Martin. I had been using Gibson bright wires at that time. And put that 9 on there, tuned her up, and all out of whack because I changed the brand. The tension specs were different. And it still wasn't, still wasn't good. And I was like, what the hell? And I was like, okay, next week, this weekend, it was like Thursday. This Saturday, I'm going to go get me another pack of Gibson bright wire 9s, put on here, and I'm going to do it to it, Put those strings on, right back to where I had it when I first played it. And that's when I realized, oh, string brand matters. Because every brand, even though they're the same gauge, is a different tension spec. And if you put something on here that it, quote unquote, does not like, it's going to let you know it. This guitar does not like Ernie balls. I put them on it, Ernie ball 1046. These are Diodero 1046. Bridge angle was okay, it was alright. Neck relief, fine. Intonation, jacked. All of them. And I got it set back, to where my tuner read, hey, it's fine, And then I played chords on it, and I was like, it sounds out of tune. It still sounds out of tune. So I put the Dioderos back on it, and it went fine, perfect, good. No issues. And let me show you that. If you do get a Floyd, and you're wondering about, or any guitar really, and you're wondering if your intonation's out, try this little trick here. Play your big E chord. That sounds good there. Where's your next E? Good. Here's an E major here. Try this. And up here. That's kind of hard to get right there. Play your chords all over the place. If it starts sounding out of tune up and down the neck, you'll know that your intonation's off. When you get down here, it's kind of difficult to even tell if you're in. I just gauge it by as long as the harmonic at the 12th and the note match, then you're good. And I used to obsess over that, dude. Like, my intonation's off. It's always off. I hate it. My tuner says it's good, but it's always wrong. And I would sit, fiddle with these damn saddles and stuff for hours on floating trims. Not realizing that, there's no such thing as perfect intonation. Now, the JS140, we're not going to talk about that. That was completely... That intonation, I have never had anything that I could not get sounding decently good that took as long as that one did. And there are shims under the saddles. And I'm hoping that this one don't have those too. It very well could, to match the radius of this fretboard. But man, just a great thing. Floyd Rose and these floating trim style bridges, best thing ever invented. But, I mean, that's your advantages. Tuning stability, playability, sustain, and overall feel is just perfect on these. Now, if you get you one that's not an Ibanez, it does not have an original edge, say you get an ESP, try to get you one that's got a Floyd Rose 1000 series at least. That way, you get almost the same quality as German Schaller, but it's going to be made in Korea. It's a great trim. If you get Jackson and Charvel, they also have the 1000 or 1500 series. Ibanez, for most people out here would tell you, try to get the original edge or the Godo 1996T. That way you have top quality parts. But if you can't afford that, get what you can afford, learn how they work, and I think you won't regret it. Yeah. Ooh, hold on. Let's see if we can do this. Let's put that in the middle. That's a Staniac, man. It's really cool. but it don't freaking work half the time. Let's try the middle. See? It's trying. But like I said, disadvantages, you can't tune them all. You know, you can't change your tuning at will. String gauge and brand has to be the same as what you initially set them up with. And is there any other negatives, really? Setup's a little more difficult, a little more tedious. And if you're like me, you can't play the guitar anyway. Then none of this matters. What? It's a little out of tune. Must got a little too crazy. Yeah, I did. They're not impervious. They're not impervious to knocking out of tune. It's just a hell of a lot more uncommon. Versus a Gibson or a Fender or something like that. But my buddy Matt, he's been toying with the idea of getting one of these. Not this exact guitar, but a floating trim guitar. And I told him the same thing I tell everybody. You know, don't let it intimidate you, and really, it's really gonna come down to what you need as a player. Is a Floyd Rose or a floating trim of some type? Is that really what you need as a player? Think about your musical needs. Now, if you're recording, I would strongly suggest one of these. A floating trim. Because the tuning stability is there for recording. But if you're just jamming like me, I mean, is it really necessary for me to spend $1,800 on this guitar because it's a JS series with an original edge? No, it's not. I could have got away with a freaking $500 RG. The reason I bought this one is because I wanted a Joe Satriani model that was close to his specs, his stage specs. And this is the one that was quote unquote affordable that delivered that for me. If you don't need a floating trim, not necessary for you to buy one. You know? You might hate it. You might get home and start playing on it like, man, it's the worst piece of shit I've ever touched. But then again, you might love it. And then if you do love it, and you're like, this is the guitar I want, this is what I need, you're going to sell all your other instruments, you're going to go buy a bunch of these damn things. You'll have a whole wall full of floating trim guitars. They're all in different tunings, and they're all set up in a particularly different way. See, you could get this bridge, this original edge here, you could get this thing set up to where when you pull your bar backwards, it will fret out at certain frets and make some very alien sounds. You can't do that with anything else. What? Why does it sound out of tune? That's weird. Might have killed my string. But yeah, I mean, you could set these things up to do anything. And some of them will not do what a conventional fixed bridge guitar could do. So really think hard about your musical needs as a player. And if you get one, and it's an Ibanez, you will now have the bug. once you own one Ibanez, you gotta have more. So take care, guys. I hope you enjoyed this random, useless nonsense of a chatter. And it's a freaking hour and 6 minutes long. I hope you got something out of it. Thanks for watching. Keep it metal out there. And like and subscribe if you enjoy my nonsense. Take care.